Most men fail with women not because they're unattractive, but because they're unaware. They say too much, or they say it too fast. They flood the conversation and kill the mystery. They confuse volume with value. But the truth is, one grounded message from the right man has more weight than 100 desperate texts from someone trying too hard. Stay until the end, because the final secret I'll share will make her feel your presence, even when you're silent. Secret 1. Speak into her nervous system, not her logic. Most men think communication is all about logic. They assume that if they say the right thing, make the right joke, or craft the perfect sentence, she'll respond with interest or desire. But they completely miss the truth. She's not reading your texts with her logical mind, she's feeling them with her body. A woman doesn't process your message like a math equation. She absorbs it like a vibration. The words, the emojis, the timing, they either settle her nervous system or disturb it. They either make her body relax or contract. That's the secret most men never realize. Women respond to the energy behind your words far more than the words themselves. You might be wondering why sometimes a woman goes cold after you send a long, thoughtful message. You poured your heart into it. You explained yourself. You were vulnerable, maybe even poetic. But she didn't respond, or she did, but something felt off. That's because she didn't read your words with admiration. She felt the anxiety behind them. She sensed the craving for attention, the subtle need for reassurance. And even if she doesn't consciously know it, her body pulls away. Because what a woman is always scanning for, even unconsciously, is this man centered? Is he still in control of himself, or is he seeking something from me? This is not about manipulation. It's about responsibility. When you text from a frantic place, when you let your fear of loss or need for validation take over, you're no longer grounded. And when you're not grounded, your words can't lead. They beg, they chase, they lean in too hard. And nothing shuts a woman's nervous system faster than a man who's energetically out of control. She doesn't feel safe around that. Not because you're dangerous, but because you're leaking. You're not holding your own frame, and a woman's body will always recoil from that. So what do you do instead? You build a habit of returning to yourself before you speak. If your thoughts are spinning, if your chest is tight, if your heart is pounding, pause. Don't reach for your phone. Don't dump your tension into her inbox. Move your body. Step outside. Do 5 push-ups. Close your eyes and feel your feet on the floor. Reclaim your breath. Get your energy back in order. Because a message that comes from emotional clarity carries a weight no clever pickup line ever will. It anchors her. It invites her in. It speaks straight into her body, and that's where the real attraction lies. It's not about sending fewer messages. It's about sending messages with presence. The man who knows how to wait, how to choose his words, not from fear, but from power. He doesn't need to be witty or wild. He just needs to be real. You can feel it when a man speaks from that place. His texts don't chase, they land. They don't beg for attention, they command it without force. Because underneath them, there's stillness, a kind of weight that can't be faked. And when a woman feels that in her body, her instincts respond. She doesn't think, this is impressive. She just feels safe and intrigued. Your words are less important than your state. You don't need to learn the perfect script. You need to become the kind of man who doesn't speak unless it's aligned. That kind of man might send fewer texts. He might take longer to respond. But every word he says matters. And over time, she stops waiting for entertainment and starts leaning in to feel you. That's when the dynamic shifts. You're no longer trying to win her interest. You are the interest. You're not reacting to her energy. She's responding to yours. And that's when a woman opens. Not because you forced it, but because your presence told her nervous system, you're safe here. And that's the ultimate signal she's always scanning for. Not cleverness, not status, not even looks. Safety. Not the weak kind of safety that tries to please, but the deep kind that comes from a man who knows who he is, who owns his stillness, and who refuses to send a single word that isn't rooted in clarity. Text like that, and she won't just read your message, she'll feel you enter the room before the notification even pops up. Secret 2. Use time as a tool, not a threat. Most men rush because they feel pressure, not from her but from themselves. There's a fear behind it, quiet but strong. A fear that if they wait too long, she'll lose interest. That if they don't respond fast enough, she'll move on. So they react. They text too quickly. They try to keep her entertained. But every time they do this, they give away the most powerful thing they have, their sense of timing. Not timing on a clock, but timing that comes from awareness, from emotional stillness, from self-respect. A man who doesn't know how to use time will always be ruled by it. And that energy will always feel heavy to a woman. Because when a man rushes, he's not grounded. He's trying to escape the silence, not lead within it. Time reveals your relationship with yourself. If you can't hold silence between messages, it means you haven't learned how to hold yourself. If you feel panic when she doesn't respond right away, or anxiety when you wait too long to reply, then you are still moving from fear, not presence. And presence is what she feels. Before the message is even opened, before she reads your words, her body picks up on the energy behind it. Is this message calm, or is it seeking something? Is this energy peaceful or impatient? She feels all of that. And the more she feels rush or restlessness, the more she pulls away. Not because she doesn't like you, but because her nervous system is trained to sense when a man is unsure of himself. When you move from clarity, you don't chase. You let the silence work for you. You understand that space between messages is not a problem to fix. It is a tool to use. That space gives her time to reflect. It gives your last message room to land. It gives her imagination a place to wander. If you're always there, always replying instantly, always filling the space, there's no room for her to lean in. She doesn't wonder what you're doing. She doesn't miss your presence. And without that missing, the energy between you goes flat. Tension is what creates attraction, not stress tension. The kind that makes her wonder about you. The kind that makes her check her phone. The kind that pulls her in slowly. But for that tension to grow, there must be rhythm. Not a flood of words, not a constant back and forth. Rhythm. You speak, you pause. You allow her to respond not just with words, but with energy. Sometimes her response will be silence. Let it be. Let it stretch. Trust that the space is doing its work, even if it feels empty. You are not trying to fill her attention. You are trying to build connection. And connection grows in contrast in the distance between your presence and your absence. A man who is always present becomes invisible. A man who knows when to step back becomes unforgettable. This doesn't mean playing games. It means mastering yourself, knowing when you are speaking from truth and when you are speaking from fear. If you text just to feel safe, don't send it. If you're trying to fix the silence, hold it instead. That stillness is power.
It trains you. It teaches you to become the kind of man who doesn't need a response to feel okay. And the moment you no longer need a response is the moment your words become more powerful, because you're no longer speaking to get something. You're offering your presence like a gift. She feels the difference. It doesn't matter how long the message is. What matters is where it came from. And if it came from a calm place, a place of knowing, a place of patience, it will reach her. Not just in her mind, but in her body. That's what time does. It gives your words space to breathe. It makes your energy feel rare. And when something is rare, it becomes valuable. She begins to treat your messages differently. She leans in. She waits. She watches. Not because she's trying to play along, but because her nervous system is now responding to yours. You've become the center. You've become the rhythm she feels safe in. This is the secret. You're not texting to win her. You're texting to reflect your own state. If your state is grounded, your timing will be natural. Sometimes fast, sometimes slow, always real. And that realness is what sets you apart. Most men rush because they think speed equals care, but you are not most men. You move from alignment. You let time shape your message. You don't fear it. You use it. Let her feel your absence. Let her feel the weight of your silence. Let her wonder what's behind it. And when you return with calm, clean presence. That's what keeps her attention. That's what earns her trust. Not your speed, your stillness. Secret 3, less expression, more precision. In today's world, people speak too much and say too little. Words are thrown around not to communicate, but to fill space. Men do this often when they talk to women. They overexpress. They try to explain. They soften their words to avoid discomfort. But the truth is, the more you explain yourself, the more your energy starts to leak. You move from clarity to confusion. From strength to noise. And noise never creates attraction. Stillness does. Precision does. When a man speaks too much, especially through text, what he's really trying to do is earn something. He wants to prove he's good enough, that he has value, that he means well, that he's not like the others. But the moment you try to convince, you've already stepped out of alignment. Real confidence doesn't try to prove itself, it just is. It doesn't seek validation, it creates presence. And presence is not expressed through long paragraphs, it's expressed through precise impact. A woman doesn't need you to write an essay. She doesn't want a long trail of thoughts wrapped in emotional disclaimers. She wants to feel you. Not the version of you that's trying to be liked, but the version of you that's clear, settled, and exact. This is why one sharp, grounded sentence will always carry more weight than 20 lines of half-hearted reassurance. Because she's not listening with her brain, she's listening with her body. If your words are too dressed up, too hesitant, too filled with fluff, her body will tune out. But if your words cut straight into what's real, she will feel it immediately. Masculine energy doesn't ramble, it doesn't circle around, it moves directly, calmly, with clarity. This doesn't mean being cold or robotic. It means being precise, saying exactly what you mean and then stopping. The moment you feel the urge to keep explaining is the moment to go quiet. Let your words breathe, let them land. A well-placed sentence followed by silence is more attractive than a stream of effortful talking, because silence after clarity signals control. Control of your emotion, control of your energy, and that control is what she trusts. You don't need to be a poet. You need to be honest. Say what you feel without apology, not what you think will sound good, not what you hope will impress her. Say what's real, but say it simply. Say it once, then stop. That stopping matters. It gives your words weight. When you don't keep talking, it tells her, this man means what he says. And that's rare. Most men speak from nervousness. They over-explain to fill the tension. But if you can stay with the tension, if you can say what needs to be said and stay still, she will lean in. Because she's not used to that. She doesn't want performance. She wants truth. She wants to feel something. And emotion is not triggered by long explanations. It's triggered by being seen. If you see something in her that no one else has noticed, and you say it in one line with calm precision, she'll remember that line for weeks. Not because it was clever, but because it was real. And because you didn't try to explain it or wrap it in 5 follow-up messages, it held its weight. It echoed. You are not here to entertain her. You are here to meet her, not with noise but with awareness, to mirror what's inside her, to speak what she feels but hasn't said. That's how you connect. Not with more words but with better ones, sharper, simpler, more grounded. Say less, mean more. This is the shift. When you make it, you stop needing reactions. You stop chasing replies. You start creating impact, quiet, lasting impact. Because in the end, the most powerful thing you can do is speak with awareness, and then let silence do the rest. Let her feel the space between your words. Let her sit with what you said. If it was real, it will work. If it was true, it will move her. And if you didn't overtalk, it will stay with her. That's not a tactic. That's discipline. Discipline of the mouth. Discipline of the mind. Discipline of energy. Speak once, mean it, be done. Secret 4, mirror her tempo, then redirect it. Most men either push too hard or hold back too much. They don't know how to move with a woman emotionally, conversationally, energetically. They treat every exchange like a race or a game, not a dance. But connection isn't built through pressure, it's built through rhythm. And rhythm begins with awareness. If you want her to feel safe around you, if you want her to soften, to trust, to open, you first have to match her pace. Not overtake it, not trail behind it, match it. When you first start talking to a woman, observe how she communicates. How fast does she reply? How long are her messages? What's her tone like? Don't analyze to control, observe to connect. Because when you match her rhythm, she feels understood. And a woman who feels understood begins to relax. She feels like you're speaking her language. She feels like you're not trying to rush her or change her. You're simply with her. And that alone is powerful. But this is only the beginning. You're not here just to match, you're here to lead. Not by force, not by pressure, but by subtle redirection. And redirection can only happen after rapport is built. When her nervous system begins to recognize your presence as familiar, steady, and grounded, that's when you shift, gently, without words, through timing, through space, through how you move between messages. You begin to guide the emotional current, not follow it. Let's say she usually texts quickly. You mirror that at first, she feels seen. But once that pace is steady, you introduce pauses, a few minutes longer, a bit more stillness, less explanation, fewer emojis, not because you're losing interest, but because you're changing the beat. You're giving her something to adjust to, and her body will notice even if her mind doesn't. She'll feel a change in the emotional air, and if you've built enough trust, that change won't cause anxiety, it will deepen her curiosity. It will create movement. And movement is the first sign that leadership is working. This is what most men miss. They think leading a woman means always being in charge, always directing, always moving forward. But true leadership, the kind that feels natural, that she leans into, begins with listening. Not just with your ears, but with your timing, with your restraint, with your awareness of where she is. Because if you move too fast for her, she'll close. If you move too slow, she'll lose interest. But if you meet her where she is, and then invite her forward, she'll follow. Not because you asked, because she felt it. So how do you invite her forward? By changing your rhythm once she's comfortable. By using space to pull her in. If she's used to fast replies, slow down. Let your energy stretch. Let her feel a gap, not the disappearance, a pause. Something that makes her lean in just a bit. That leaning is the beginning of desire. If she's used to slow replies, bring a bit more intention. A little more precision, not more effort, more presence. It's not about being unpredictable. It's about being alive in the moment, responsive, tuned in. That kind of presence is rare and powerful. You're not trying to confuse her. You're not trying to be mysterious. You're simply guiding the energy with care, with strength. You are the emotional thermostat in the conversation. You adjust the flow, the pace, the direction. And when done right, she doesn't feel controlled, she feels held. She feels like you're not just reacting to her mood. You're shaping the space both of you are in. This is emotional leadership. Not loud, not flashy. Quiet, steady. It's not about always knowing what to say. It's about knowing when not to speak. When to pause. When to shorten the message. When to slow down. And when to bring her closer. And none of this can be done from a script. It comes from presence. From learning to feel the emotional rhythm of the moment and moving just one step ahead, not 10, just one. A woman doesn't need you to be perfect. She doesn't need you to always have the answers. What she needs is a man who feels where she is and gently leads her somewhere better. That's what she remembers. That's what she trusts. Not words, not gestures, rhythm, the feeling of being met and then led. That's what creates real connection. Secret 5. Leave energy behind every message. Most men never learn the real reason their messages don't land. They think it's about timing, or how long the message is, or how interesting it sounds, but it's not about the words, it's about the energy behind them. A message is not just information, it's transmission. It carries the state you were in when you wrote it, and that state is what she feels, even through a screen, even through one line. If your energy is scattered, your message will feel off. If your energy is needy, it will feel heavy. But if your energy is still, present, grounded, your words will feel like truth. And that feeling is what she remembers. You are not texting just to keep her attention. You are leaving an imprint, a trace of your inner state. When your message is clean, not rushed, not reactive, it creates space inside her. It invites her to stop scrolling, to pause, to feel. And in a world full of noise, that pause becomes rare. That pause becomes addictive. She may not remember what you said a week from now, but she will remember the feeling. That subtle moment of peace, of curiosity, of unexpected presence. That is what lingers in her nervous system, and that is what brings her back. Most men are not aware of what they're transmitting. They write from distraction, from boredom, from the hope that maybe she'll say something back that makes them feel seen. But every time you do that, you're asking her to fill you. You putting pressure into the space, and she can feel that pressure. Her body reacts before her mind does. She might not reply, and you'll wonder what went wrong. But it's not what you said, it's how you felt when you said it. That's what came through. So you must train yourself to speak from presence. That means you never text from stress. You never text just to fill silence. You don't text because you're restless or lonely or looking for a dopamine hit. You pause, you breathe, you come back to yourself. Then from that place calm, focused, whole you type. Maybe it's one line, maybe it's two, but it comes from a place that doesn't need anything in return. That's when she feels it. That's when she senses something different in you, not performance presence. The men who are unforgettable are not the ones who say the most. They're the ones who say little, but every word carries weight, because every word came from alignment. No desperation, no scattered energy, just truth. And truth feels like peace. A woman might not be able to explain why she keeps thinking about you, but this is why. You left something in the space, something real, something clean, something she doesn't get from anyone else. Leave energy, not noise. That's the final rule. Don't try to impress, don't try to be clever, don't try to get a reaction. Anchor yourself, then speak. Even a short message like, "You've been on my mind," if said from presence can land deeper than 100 lines of flattery, because it feels real. And in a world of fake, real is magnetic. So before you type, ask yourself, what's my energy right now? Am I grounded, or am I reaching? Is this message coming from presence or from emptiness? If it's from presence, she'll feel safe. She'll feel curious, she'll want to come closer. If it's from emptiness, she might smile and reply, but she won't stay, because deep down she won't feel held. You're not texting for the reply. You're texting for the resonance, the invisible echo your message leaves behind. That's what brings her back. That's what makes her open your messages first. That's what makes her scroll up and reread something you sent days ago. Not because it was perfect, but because it carried a kind of energy she doesn't get anywhere else. An energy that doesn't need her but sees her. And that seeing without chasing is rare. When the man doesn't need to prove anything, when he doesn't chase validation, when he doesn't try to keep the conversation alive, but instead speaks from awareness, and then lets go, he becomes unforgettable. Not loud, not always present, but felt. So leave presence in your words. Let them carry stillness. Let them carry simplicity. Don't speak from noise. Speak from your core. That's how you stand out. That's how she remembers you. Not because you flooded her inbox, but because in one quiet moment, you said something that landed. And then you gave it space. And that space became the place she wanted to return to. Most men text like they're trying to win something. But you're not trying to win, you're trying to lead. Because the man who can speak into her nervous system, who can hold silence without anxiety, who can write one sentence that shifts her whole body, that man doesn't need to chase. He already owns the frame. Apply these secrets, life them, and next time you text, watch how quickly her energy changes.